Professor Plummer, what is the Trans-Pacific Partnership? What are the objectives and what are the benefits for world trade?
The Trans-Pacific Partnership is an agreement between 9 countries that are all members of APEC, and these includes countries in the Americas as well as on the Pacific Rim. It's slated to be a 21st century agreement. In other words, a regional trading arrangement which would include a large number of issues, rather than just focusing on traditional issues such as tariffs and perhaps certain non-tariff barriers. It goes well beyond that to include more modern issues like services and competition policy and small and medium-sized enterprises and labor and the environment and a variety of other things. So the idea with the TPP is to try to have something that would be a template, not just for the U.S., but for not just for the Asia-Pacific, but for future agreements as well. And the benefits to global trade, I would argue, would actually be very large. And I don't think that the trade diverting problems would be large for non-member countries because it's slated to be an open agreement, relatively open. So I don't see trade diversion being very large, and it should actually have very large net gains for the member countries. So I think it should be a very important agreement in the global economy, not just the regional one.
President Obama called the Trans-Pacific Partnership a priority in his State of the Union address, and Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, said America's future is linked to the future of the Asia-Pacific region. What is it important for the U.S. to join the agreement?
I think that the U.S. has a lot of interest in the Asia-Pacific. First of all, the Asia-Pacific is the fastest growing economy in the world. And it is also a large recipient of U.S. exports and source of imports, and U.S. foreign direct investment is very large in the Asia-Pacific region. So I think that it's very important from an economic point of view for the U.S. to be there. I don't believe that the Asian regional agreements are designed to isolate the U.S., and I don't believe that there would be negative effects, but it certainly makes sense from an economic point of view for the U.S. to be part of the process of regional integration. Now, from a strategic point of view, the U.S. is a Pacific power, and it has geostrategic interests in the Asia-Pacific region. And these geospecific regions in part can be a function of also economic variables. So in my view also, it can, from a strategic point of view, it's very important to be part of this process for the U.S. I think that President Obama was actually quite right to put that priority on.
As for China now, China says it hasn't been invited. Would you like to see China part of the TPP?
I think from a practical point of view, well, the answer would be yes, but I think from a practical point of view, the idea of China's joining the TPP is unrealistic in the very short term. Do I think it's more realistic within 5 years or within 9 years? I think it is realistic. And China, as the U.S. noted, China has a right to be a member of the TPP eventually as an APEC member. So I think that the U.S. also would like to see China be part of it. In the studies that we've done, we've shown that both China and the United States gain a great deal from that sort of relationship by lowering barriers to trade across borders. And so I think it is in the interest of both countries to move closer. But the current political environment and economic environment in the short run suggests that this would be a very difficult thing to do. I mean, we're still in a tenuous recovery in the United States, and I don't see, unfortunately, China is often criticized and often gets a very negative profile in the press and things. And so I think that while we're in the United States, while we're in a recession, it's very difficult for China to envision that the U.S. Congress would support it, particularly this exchange rate issue. But in the future, I think it's very possible.
Thank you very much.
Sure.